We're going to be talking about how do we create that perfect offer for your audience? How do we know that the way we've structured our offer is going to be something that our audience is going to want to buy? Because we want to avoid that pain of, doggone it, I put all this work into creating this program, this product, this service, and now it's crickets. No one's buying the doggone thing. Why? And this is one of the big steps in the process. Is you got to understand, what do you have to do to know that your offer is going to work? So this is a skill. This really is. It's the skill of taking the desire of your prospect and turning it into demand for your product. So your prospect has desires. They have things that they want. They have things that they want to do. They have problems they want to solve, things that they want for their life. How do you funnel that desire? You don't need to create the desire, and understand the difference there. No one needs to create desire. Desire already exists. But what you have to do is funnel that desire and turn that desire so that it goes from the direction that it's currently going into desire and demand for your product or service of what you're doing. That's what crafting that perfect offer is all about. So some of the first questions that you need to ask you throughout this process, you need to understand, what is your ideal prospect? And when I say ideal prospect, think about, who is that perfect person, who's the perfect buyer for what it is that you do. Who is that? What does that person look like? Who are they? And what does that person truly want? Is there a problem that they want solved? Is there a desire they want fulfilled? And understand, everything we do as business owners, everything we do as marketers, is to do one of these two things. If I have a car with a flat tire, that's a problem, and I want that problem solved. I want the tire fixed so that I can keep driving my car. If I'm working lots and lots of hours for many weeks in a row and I want to take a vacation, that's a desire that I want fulfilled. I want to get away and have a few days off. Everything we do as entrepreneurs, everything we build is one of those two lanes. We're either fixing a problem, something's wrong, and we're going to set it right, or we want something that we don't currently have. So understand, what is it that your prospect wants? What is it that their heart is really saying, this is what I want for my life. This is what I want to feel. This is what I want to achieve. This is what I want to have. And is it a problem or is it a desire? Which one of the two is it that they're striving for? And as you're doing this exercise, it's really important that you dig a little below the surface. What do I mean by that? It's really important that you find the emotion below the desire. Because with everything, emotion is what drives buying decisions. We may analyze a decision, we may make logical steps throughout everything, but ultimately emotion is what always drives a purchase decision. Ultimately, we say, yes, I want that. That's the thing I want to do. And it's always an emotion that pushes it. So if we're going to understand how to connect with people on that level, we need to know what is the emotion that's below their desire. So let's look at an example. Let's say there's a father who wants to buy a drill. So he's going to the hardware store and he's looking at different drill options that he can get. And he's looking to buy a drill. But why does he want to buy a drill? Well, he wants to buy a drill because he wants to build a birdhouse with his son. That's why he's going. He just didn't up in one day decide, I want a drill. No, he's doing it because he wants to build a birdhouse with his son. So why does he want to build a birdhouse with his son? Because he wants to connect with his son and spend time with him. Okay, now we're getting down to the emotional level. And so that we all need to do this exercise when we're looking at our ideal prospects. We need to understand, okay, this is what they want. They want the tire fixed on their car. Well, why do they want the tire fixed on their car? Because they can't drive the car without it. I mean, they're stuck, they're stranded, they can't go anywhere with a flat tire. Well, why is that so important to them? Because they're feeling pressure from their boss because they can't get into work. They're feeling frustrated because they need to go do things and they can't get anywhere and get them done because they don't have a car that works. Those are the emotions. We need to get below that. So when we speak to our prospect, when we speak to our audience, we're speaking to that emotional level. We're speaking to those emotions that they're feeling. Because again, nobody ultimately buys a drill because I wouldn't say nobody, but 99.9% of people don't buy a drill just because they want to buy a drill. They buy it because there's a deeper reason below it. There's a deeper purpose that's underneath that desire. And we need to be able to connect at that level and speak to that level. Because if we start talking about how doing woodworking projects with our sons, and what that means to them, and the memories you create, and all the experiences that you'll have, and the things that you'll share together, and that the drill is just really the vehicle to create all these wonderful memories and times together as a family. Now all of a sudden we're dialing in at a whole other level. Now we're connecting with our audience in a way that's much better and much different than just, oh, here's a drill. So to craft a successful offer, we must understand our prospect. We must understand what are their hopes, what are their dreams, and what are their fears. What are those things that are driving them? What do they hope for? What are they dreaming about achieving or doing? And what are they afraid of? What's stopping them? What's holding them back? We got to understand our prospect. If we're going to create something for them, we can't just do what we want to do. We can't just create something like, well, this is what I like and this is what I want. Well, that's great, but this isn't about you. This is about changing the lives of the people that you're going to reach. This is about impacting them and making a difference in their lives. So we have to understand what they want. First of all, we have to start with them. We have to start with their hopes, their dreams, and their fears, and understand where they are right now in their life. Then, if we get a good handle on that, we need to start looking at what does my prospect have right now as options to solve their problem? How can my prospect go out there today without my solution and gets this result? How can they go out and do these things currently? There could be direct competition. So for example, in our tire situation, I can go to the Goodyear down the street, or I can go to the AAA place that's the other direction down the street. So there's direct competitors, companies that do the exact same thing. So that's one level of alternate solutions, one level where there's a direct competition. Two businesses are providing very similar services. But there's also alternative solutions. There's also different ways of doing it. So for example, if you're having back pain and you're having a lot of trouble with your back, you could be considering going to a chiropractor, or you could go to a medical doctor and he may recommend surgery for your back. There's different ways that you can solve each of these problems. They don't all need to be exactly the same. So when you're thinking about, okay, this is what my prospect is looking at as options right now, it's not necessarily only the same thing. It's not only the same option. There's other ways of solving the problem as well. And they could also look at doing it themselves. For example, oh, I could patch that tire myself. I can do it. I have the stuff at home. I'll just do it myself. Or, you know what, instead of going to the chiropractor, or instead of going to the doctor where he's going to tell me I need surgery, I'm going to buy a heating pad. I'm going to buy a bunch of Advil, and I'm going to look up a whole bunch of stretching exercises that I can do to get my back feeling better. There's all sorts of different ways that people can solve problems. We need to get a handle on those. We need to understand what is my, now that I know what they want, I need to understand how are they currently solving these problems? How are they currently dealing with it? What are their current options that I'm up against as alternatives that I'm going to be kind of competing against? And then as we look at those, we want to find the holes in those offers. Why are those options that are currently out there problematic? Why are those options not ideal? What is wrong with those options? Because I assume that if you're creating an option, is because you probably had a similar problem in your own life at some point in time, and you looked at these options and you said, you know what, these stink. This isn't helping me. This isn't getting me the result that I want. This isn't helping me get the answer that I want. So I'm going to create a better solution. I'm going to create a better way of doing it. So these options are problematic. They fall short in certain areas, and they're not going to give the prospect the solution that they really want with those methods. And you need to understand, where do they fall short? Is it too expensive? Is it just, yeah, you can do it that way, but man, it's going to be super, super expensive. It's going to take tons of time. Or, yeah, the solutions out there are rather cheap and economical, but they're really shoddy. They're really poorly put together. They're not well thought out. Or the way that they're out there, they only solve half the problem. And at the end of the day, you don't get the full, you're only dealing with the symptoms. You're not dealing with the cause of the problem. As a result, you're just going to, 6 months later, you're going to have the exact same problem again. You need to analyze those things. Where are they if I go to this person, like if I'm doing a business coaching program, I'm going to look at it. Oh, you could go with those guys and do that, but they aren't people that have ever even, they're just coaches, but they've never actually created their own successful businesses. So why would you listen to them? You shouldn't listen to them. You should listen to people that actually have done it, who actually done the thing. Find those holes, find those areas where they fall short. And then think about what would be the perfect solution. So if I had no limits on me, I didn't have a limit on my ability, I didn't have a limit on my time, on my money, what could I give my prospect to solve the problem? If I just had a complete unlimited capacity and I could go out there and I could solve a problem with no limits, what would I do to ensure that my prospect got the result? What would I do that would ensure that they got the answer, that they were where they needed to be? And then document everything that you thought of through that process. It would be this, it would be this, it would be this, it would be this. These are all the things that I would include in my offer. These are all the things that I would put in, because these are the things that you need to ultimately guarantee success in this area. And don't worry about what's possible at this point. Just think about, what does the ideal solution look like? How would, in a perfect world with no limits, how could I create an answer and a solution for them? And then just consider, this is what's going to guarantee their success. This is what I know is going to get them the result that they're after. Then once you have all that laid out in the blue sky perspective, think about looking out now. Okay, now what's possible? And look at the items you put on your list and say, how many of these items, I know I could do this, I know I could do that. These are all items I know for a fact that I can deliver on right now. I know I could do all those. So add all those items into your offer. These are all things that you're going to add into your offer. Like, I know all these things. I could do this, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this. And all of these things I know right now I can take care of, I can handle, I can do. So let's just put those on there right now, because I know those are easily possible. For the impossible items, you're going to look at and you're going to say, hey, how close can I get to those? If it's like, well, that would just be too time consuming, how it would be too costly, it'd be too much. How close can you get on the items that you're like, well, it'd be ideal, but I can't quite, that's not possible for me to do. Get as close as you can and include the best option that you have to be able to do it. Include the thing that you could say, hey, this is the closest I can get. This is in the world that I live in, this is the best solution that I can get. It may not be the perfect one out there, but it's the absolute best that I can. And then include that in your offer. Include those items on your list of what you're going to offer your customer. And then you now need to communicate this to your prospects so they get it, that they see that you've covered all the bases, that you position this in such a way that, oh my goodness, this is really, really going to do it. This is really, really going to get me the answer. So they look at it and they go, yes, this is going to work. This solution is what I'm looking for. This solution is checking all the boxes. It's giving me all the things that I need. And it is going to give me the result that I'm looking for. And it also should help them understand, oh, that's why I didn't get an answer and I didn't get the solution that I was working on and hoping for with somebody else, because they didn't do this. They didn't include that. Or, they were so expensive, I could never afford to hire them. Those are all things that are going to make them go, oh, this is much more economical, or this is much more comprehensive. This is going to work where the other ones didn't. That's how you have to position your offer, that this is the one that I have thought through and I have positioned so deeply and so carefully that I know it will work, that I know it will be successful for you. And then think through your objections that your prospect may have. Why would they still say no? If you're looking at your offer and you're saying, well, shoot, yeah, there's still may be reasons that they would say no. And there's 3 levels or 3 areas that they might possibly say no in. One of them is a product objection, which is they may look at your product and say, nah, I don't have 100% confidence that your product is actually going to do the thing that it says it's going to do. I'm not convinced that what you're saying would actually work. Okay, if that's the case, then we need to figure out, how can we shore that up? How can we go into our product and either communicate it better, either describe it better, either tell a story about it better, because we need them 100% convinced that what this method is will work, that it will be successful, that no matter what it is that we're saying, it will get the answer, that this is the solution that they've been looking for. And we need to understand any objections that may be there as to why this vehicle or this product that we're offering them won't get the job done. And then they may say, okay, great. Oh, I totally see how that works. That is totally a great solution. That will absolutely get it done. But I don't know if I could do it. I see how you did it, but I don't know that I could do it. So now we have to deal with those internal objections. We have to make this so that they believe that they can get the answer, that they can overcome the problem, that they can get the solution, so that they know that they can take and copy this method and follow the framework and the pathway that you're giving them, and they can go, yes, I can do it too. I can achieve the same level of success as you did or as this other person did, because I have confidence that I have what it takes, that I know that I have the skill, the ability, that I could actually do it. And this is where you share stories of other people. Like, here's so-and-so, he came to this country with no money in his pocket and no skills, no special connections, and he was able to use this program to go off and launch his own successful business. Well, shoot, if a person who came into the country trouble speaking English, no connections, no money, no resources, and he was able to do it, then I should be able to do it too. And that's an important thing to be able to get them to understand. And then the last objection bucket is the external objections. So let's say, okay, you've got me convinced your solution works. I know it's a great way of getting a result. I believe that I could do this, but then I have the external objections. Like, what would my spouse say if I decided to go down this path? What would my spouse say? Would he or she say, oh, this isn't a good idea, we can't do it? Or can I fit this into the budget? Can I make this work in our family budget so that the money that I'm spending isn't going to screw up everything else in our budget of what we're trying to do? Or would somebody that I work with, they find out that I'm now trying to do this, would they have commentary on it and that would be negative? So I'm going to face pressure from coworkers or family members as to why I'm going down this path. You need to think through all those different things, what it may be for them, and understand these are the things you need to overcome. You need to wrap yourself around and through these objections so that they don't see them as big deals, that they don't see those objections as stopping points of things that that are going to make them say, no, I can't proceed. I can't move forward. These are things that are like, yes, I get it. Yeah, I probably have to work through that, but it's not a big deal. The desire to have the solution is far greater than any of these objections. You have to be able to overcome those. And one of the ways you can do that is to utilize bonuses. Bonuses can be used to cover gaps in your core offer. So if your core offer solves all these problems, but there's some ancillary problems on the side that they're also going to need to struggle with and deal with, you can add bonuses into your offer that are going to cover any gaps that you may be having. So if you have some of these objections that you've now identified, create a bonus. Create a bonus in your offer that's going to be in there. Yes. And so I'm going to throw this in. I'm going to throw this in. I'm going to throw this in. These are 3 bonuses that you can get that you can have added in. And when you get these, it also is going to solve all these other issues for you. And you're no longer going to need to worry about those objections. So you can use your gaps to your bonuses to cover your gaps, and you can encourage them to take action. You can encourage them hey, for a limited time, I'm offering all these bonuses. So if you want to get all these extras, you need to act now. You need to jump on this offer now. So you can utilize that not only to fill gaps, but also to encourage them to take action and not just delay and remove those objections. Like I said earlier, we want to make sure that these people aren't looking at this saying, oh my goodness, I don't think I could do it for one of those 3 reasons. We want to remove those objections by using our bonuses and create excitement. Just make them feel like, oh my goodness, this is the answer I've been waiting for. This is the solution that I need for my life. This is the thing that I need to be able to get that result that I so desperately want to get. So this is where you can utilize bonuses to wrap around all of your core offer to really solve any of those remaining holes and gaps in what it is that you're doing. And then lastly, always focus on the outcome. When you're describing what you do too many times, and this is one of the biggest mistakes I see people make, is they get hung up on the features. They like to describe what their product is. They like to describe what their product does. They aren't talking about what the product, what the result will be from using the product or the program or the service. Don't get hung up on all the what. Get them just sold on the why. Why do I want this? Why? Because I want this problem solved in my life. I want this solution. I want this desire fulfilled. I want that outcome. I want that for my life. That's the thing that I really, really want. So don't get hung up on the features like, oh yeah, well, we have 7 coaching calls. We have 4 workbook things. We have 7 videos. No, don't get hung up on all that. Tell them about the result. Tell them about the outcome, because that's what they care about. That's why they're considering giving you their money, because they want that outcome. Focus on that. Paint that picture of what life could be and will be once they go through and buy your product and go and execute the things that they need to do using your product, of what life could and will be like for them. They'll relieve their pain. It'll fulfill their desire to be able to have what they want. Create that confidence and excitement. Get them, again, if you can't get somebody to move, if you can't get somebody excited, you can't feel confident that this is what I need, I can do this, this is the answer, and you can't get them excited about it, they're not going to move. So you got to get them to have that confidence, and that's all about overcoming objections and getting them to believe in your solution, and then getting them excited, getting them to feel like, yes, I want this. This is great. This is exactly what I need. And when you do that, that's when you get them to move. That's when you get them to take action and give them that reason to act now. Give them a reason like, hey, you know what? If you act right now, I'll throw in X, or we'll do this, or we'll do that. Give them a reason, get them excited, give them a reason to act now. And that's when you'll start to see sales. That's when you're going to start to see people buy, because you've spoken directly to their need. You've spoken directly to what they want, to their desires. You've answered it. You created a solution that's very comprehensive, that fills in the gaps, that gives them exactly what they needed, exactly what they want, and you paint it in such a way that they're going to get excited about it, and they're going to want to grab it right now, today, to get going and to get that outcome in their life that they're looking for. So if you do things like that, that is how ultimately you are going to get the sales. That's how you're going to create the offer that's going to be something that they want. It's going to be something that they're going to be like really amped up about grabbing hold of and getting, and that's going to tap into their desire and make them really want to grab it and buy it now.
Yeah, David, that's great. And folks, I mean, I'm sitting here, I just got my yellow pad out and started writing, literally, if you just took what he just did, get a sheet of paper and start just bullet pointing all these things under there just to kind of get it out of your mind, I believe you're going to be able to, even if you have an existing offer, you're going to be able to really upgrade it. I think you're going, because a lot of it, David, to your point, is positioning, right? It's some of the products I see people creating are really good, and I believe the market wants them, but if we don't communicate that well from the marketing message, copywriting, videos, whatever method we're using, then you become the best kept secret. And that's what we want to prevent, obviously, because best kept secrets can't serve the world the way that we're intending. So folks, I do the exercise. I mean, literally, I believe that honestly, if you gave 15 to 30 minutes of just focused time to really just work through this, I believe that you're going to have some things pop out that you maybe hadn't even thought about before. This is a framework that you can really go through, rinse and repeat over and over again. So David, thanks for doing that. I think that's really powerful. I think that, like you said at the very beginning, knowing your ideal customer, right? Knowing that person that you really want to help and serve, getting into their mind. I've heard it said, you're inside their head, answering the questions that they're already asking, right?
Right. You got to be able to enter the conversation that's already going on in their head, because again, this is all about meeting them where they are. But you have to understand, where are they? What's going on in their life? Where are they struggling? Where are they anxious? Where are they upset? Or where they have a problem that they just can't seem to solve and figure out? And when you can speak to that, they're going to go, that's what I want. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that solution. And you're absolutely right. Way too many times we put this stuff out there and we're just not communicating it well. We may have an absolutely fantastic solution. We may have a product that is just terrific in how it can deliver results. But the communication of how people in the world understand it, how they can perceive what it can do for them, how they can perceive what they will get from it, they get confused and they don't grasp it and they don't see it. And as a result, they don't buy it. And because they don't buy it, they don't get the result and they continue to struggle. And so this is one of those where you have to think, hey, we all want to be able to start a business. We want to be able to do things to be able to generate an income for ourselves, be able to do all those things. But it's also about being able to make a difference in the world and be able to impact people's lives and to make their lives better than what it is today. We really want to be able to create things that are they're going to improve their lives, that are going to make it better for them. So as a result, that's stuff we really need to be thinking about. And the only way that happens is you have to know how to communicate your offer. You know how to position it in such a way that people are going to read it and in just a couple minutes go, I get it. I understand what this is and what it's going to do for me. This is great. I want this thing. How much is it? How do I get it? And when you do that, that's when your sales will come.
Well, and I'm thinking, even going back to your drill illustration at the very beginning, it's like even in the brick and mortar space, I think that there are so many salespeople, and I use that term loosely, right? Because I don't think that many of them really understand this, right? And I don't think they've been trained because, I'll go back when I was a teenager and in high school and into college, I was working at a sporting goods store, and I was a very good salesperson intuitively and didn't know it. But it was because I asked a lot of questions. I was trying to understand when they walked in to say, I need a pair of shoes. I didn't, I asked enough questions to know which ones to take them to on the wall. And as online business people, right, we have to answer those types of questions to help people really understand what is it that they really need and want. And I think that in-person sales can certainly benefit from this training alone. But
Absolutely.
when we do it online, like we've said in past trainings, it takes a little bit more to answer those questions without the actual face-to-face engagement a lot of times, like we're having right here. So you have to basically the conversation and your copywriting and then your videos that you might do or whatever. So I think that the relational dynamic of building that bridge with our ideal customer, our ideal client, really is a key point here that we just don't want to miss today, because you do have great offers out there, folks. We see them. We understand what you're trying to do. We believe in what you're doing. But once again, it's packaging it in a way that, and I think, David, that's part of it too, is there's a product and then there's the offer. And I think that's a different variable that we have to think about, right?
Those are products and offers are very different things, and people should not get confused that, well, the product is the offer. A product is part of the offer. The product is the thing that you've created, but the offer is everything that the prospect gets or everything that your customer is going to receive. And that can include all sorts of ancillary benefits. It can include all sorts of secondary benefits, all sorts of other related things all around it. And because again, if you, for example, if you help a person stop drinking, okay, so like you have a program to help people who struggle with alcohol and you're going to help them overcome their addiction to drinking and to stop drinking. Well, guess what? Now they show up to work and they're sober and they're ready to go. They're becoming a much better worker, and their career starts to take off because they're much more engaged. They're not showing up hungover. They're not, they're able to focus on their work, and all of a sudden they have all these benefits where their career is now much more strong and much more successful. And then they come home, and the relationship with their family, their wife and their kids, is suddenly going way better because they're not drinking all the time and they're engaging with their family at a much different level. And so, yes, you're dealing with the alcohol problem, but look at what the offer really is. The offer is way bigger than that, because the things that you're going to be doing for people go way beyond just that direct initial point. And then that's why we roll in bonuses. That's why we put all these extra things in there, because we want people to see a holistic picture of all the things that they're going to get, all the things they're going to walk away from, all the things that their life will potentially now be like as a result of doing this.
No, that's great. And the other thing too, I think folks to keep in mind is, I know that sometimes when you're in this early stages trying to figure all this out, let's say you write a book or you have a course, and then you start to think about all these bonuses. A scarcity mindset might tell you, well, but if I give those bonuses, then I'm going to lose money, or I'm not going to be able to, make as much as I wanted to, or whatever. But David, I think to your point is, but if we're trying to, there's the income side of it, but there's also the impact side of it. And when you make the impact, then your income can grow too. And you can also have a better review. Somebody might say, hey, this is awesome. It's like the course is great, but I didn't expect this benefit. And I've been in the past where, oh my gosh, like just the community aspect of this group alone is worth my money, because of the people and all the things I'm learning through the group. Yeah, I got the course, or I got the thing, the product, but this is also what I got. And that's so anyway, I guess we have to get past that scarcity thinking and think about, how do we definitely give people this unbelievable, irresistible offer that makes it a no-brainer to click the button and order, right?
Right. And I like to think about it very simply, because, I like to reduce things down to a simple, understandable level. I think about it as, think about your customer or your prospect as being a scale. And on the one side, they have like their wallet, they have their money. On this side, they're like, the one side is like, they need that money for their life. They need it to pay bills. They need it for food, all their expenses and different things. So the one side of the scale is their money. The other side of the scale is your offer. If you want your offer to sell, your offer has to outweigh the money that they have significantly. And you have to have them say, oh, I care a whole lot less about that money and keeping that money than I do about having what it is that you're promising to provide. That's what I want. That's the thing that I'm looking for. That's way more valuable to me than these dollars. That's the thing that I ultimately want and value way more. And so when you can position that offer so that it is like, this is the cost, this is the price, and that's how much it's going to hit your wallet when you take it, but this is the benefit. And it's so much heavier, so much more significant, and your life is going to be so much better that it's money well spent. And the value is way beyond anything that you're going to get from the expense. And that's where you don't want to be scarcity mindset focused. Absolutely not. Think about, how can I give more? How can I add more value? How can I do more for my customer? How can I give them more benefit, more resources, more tools, more help, more support? How can I stack it up so that it's just like higher and higher, and their people are just going to say, whoa, I'm in.